welcome to episode 13 of Sisters Talk podcast. I'm Charlene Lutz.
And I'm Marie Robinson.
And today we're going to reflect a bit on the conversation that we had with our guests last week, Liz and Lindsay, who opened the Wonder Club, which is a homeschool community connecting school, or do they describe it as a school or kind of a
homeschool group, like a co-op?
A co-op, yeah, that's the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And they opened
so
that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was such a great conversation with them and talking about their dedication, and I think rejuvenation was a big part of that as well. And to reflect on that conversation, Marie and I were talking a little before we came on here live, and kind of how we're going to dive into that. And dedication is something that we have thought a lot about in terms of our own personal wellness and what it means to be dedicated to something that we feel is really needed in our lives and needed in, I guess, our community as well.
Absolutely.
And what would you say?
Well, as you were just talking about, and as I think about dedication, I think that for me, it brings up a lot of different thoughts, but I think the first area I would go to would be kind of the professional dedication, because that's been my scene basically for the past number of years. Wanting to move here to Maine and being dedicated to doing what I needed to do. And that prompted me to become a building principal, and has now led to, being a superintendent. And then also paired with that is kind of the, my Ph.D. journey, which was probably the most dedicated professionally that I've ever been, because it was also the most challenging. So, I know before we were talking about the simplicity and dedication, and I feel like I'm not quite there yet with simplicity. I'm trying.
So I have a question. Do you feel like it's easier for you to be dedicated to the professional rather than kind of the maybe the inward or the simplicity of yourself?
I do. I think that I'm getting into that, I would say, over the past couple of years. A lot with your input, really. So it's been a very interesting journey, but I still easily will revert back to the professional dedication. And I wonder, I really think it can be attributed to society's expectations of us, right? And it goes back to what I said before, like I had to be the breadwinner, and that became who I was for a long time. And even though I'm not necessarily, that's not the case now for 8 years almost, I still haven't really gotten myself out of, that kind of core mindset. So like the self-care, the simplicity, all of that is still a work in progress.
Yeah, I'm wondering if kind of that sort of like running, that kind of like chasing the next thing, like we've talked about, if that is part of the reason why we do find it hard to re-simplify and like reconnect with ourselves and our own wellness. Kind of like you were put into that survival mode, so to speak, and kind of like the brain, I don't know, is it like this, it's sort of hard to revert back even after it's like your instinct? I don't know. I
don't know about instinct. I think it's just the go-to. It's like, if I get stressed, I pare down and immediately reprioritize everything in my life. And that usually, like the external things. Usually, now I would say it doesn't happen so much because I've been able to be more aware of it.
Right.
And then I can say, wait, let's just stop and think, because while these external things are important, there are internal pieces. And then, to speak about family and dedication.
Yeah.
So
and
that's another piece.
How does the external and the internal affect each other? Right.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't have the balance with the external, and we're, it's kind of that like,
it's the balance.
It's not balance.
The balance.
Right.
Yeah. What would you say in terms of dedication in your
I feel like for me, simplifying and getting things back to just a few things has been really helpful in providing me with insight into what is really important to me and what I do really need to be dedicated to. I think that I thrive on chaos.
I have that written down somewhere for myself as well.
Yeah, I think that it is partially due to what we grew up with. I think that it is partially fueled by our society that we live in of
And
go, go, go.
Our workplace, working in the inner city,
Absolutely.
some very challenging areas. I definitely feel that contributed tremendously to that.
Yeah, and I worked really fast paced for many years with 45-minute classes that were constantly shifting between kindergarten and 8th grade. So
and the volatility, like things could pop off for me at least, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a little better of a situation for a long time with the volatile, but I did have that, you know, for many years too. So yeah, I think it's lots of things, but for me, I think just being able to have the time now to return to kind of a more calm environment is helping me to be able to put dedication on the things that really matter the most and the things that matter the most to me. Because I think that everybody's got to find their own things that matter the most.
Absolutely.
Right? And they can shift and change.
I think they definitely do. I mean, I feel like for a long time it was my profession that felt like it was most important, and not that it's not important, but I'm trying to bring the family along now and say like, good, we have children, we have adult children with grandchildren, and how do we balance that out and make that a priority? I wanted to ask you, do you feel like the dedication is also connected to alignment?
Absolutely. I think it's 100% connected to alignment, because when I simplify down to just a few things, I have high interest in lots of things.
We know that.
I can dive into multiple things at once and get lost in it, and then for a couple weeks, like, gain lots of experience in it, and then leave it. And I love doing that because I like to be knowledgeable in many things, which is good.
It is,
but I think it also is really not good for me, because what it did is it scatters me. So instead of feeling that alignment and feeling that dedication, I now feel overwhelmed that I need to be an expert in 50 things. And that I need to bring them all in so that they all match what I do, because a lot of the times they do have to do with wellness.
Or art, or creating.
So a lot of times they are aligned, so to speak, but it's way too broad.
It gets to be too much.
It gets to be too much, and then I start to feel overwhelmed and anxious, and my dedication level is scattered. And then I can't even really bring myself in and like rein myself in to really fully focus on the things that I want to focus on or need to focus on. They end up getting kind of not as much energy poured in. So paring down, and for me, just focusing on, like, for several weeks now, I have let sort of painting and drawing and even writing kind of go to the side. I wasn't feeling like I needed to do it as much. I started doing a ton of, I was still writing because I was typing on my typewriter, and then I was stitching. So I created several pieces, and I'm still doing that as a practice, and I still have some, but I also started painting again and infusing it a little more. But I think it just, I don't know if everyone has this problem, but I have to be really mindful of it. That I don't overload myself with myself. Does that make sense?
So well.
Pretty sure
given our conversations, yes. Sometimes we're a bit too much. We're a little bit of a lot to handle. I mean, that was my motto for quite some time. But I think a lot of what you said makes so much sense. And I was thinking of this morning, actually, and I wonder how this ties in. Like, we're so used to society's notion of time. And, when things fall off, like what does that mean? And who's to say that 2 weeks or a day isn't exactly what you should be doing? Like we are so tied to the 24-hour day, the 12-month calendar, the 365-day year.
Yeah.
Why? Maybe that's not it. I was just thinking this morning about what is the natural flow. Like, why does something have to happen for an X period of time? Who's to say that? I don't know. Maybe it's a 3-month. Maybe it should be more like seasonal. Maybe things shift more seasonally, and that would be better aligned. I don't know, but I do a super analysis of everything.
Well,
I have to say, like, all right, well, how do I actually feel?
Right, exactly. I think we do tie some things seasonally. I know we have tried to do that in the past, and we've talked about that. And I think it does naturally flow. And I found myself, as I've gotten older, being more attuned to that.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, I think as we get older and, spend time reflecting and having conversations like we're having.
Right.
And thinking and reflecting and really doing the work that is like knowing ourselves.
Yeah.
Who are we and how do we best function in today's society? And what does that look like? Like that to me is like, that's the most important work. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking to my youngest son at this point, really trying to get him to think about that. And not have to spend years trying to figure it out because you dove into something because you thought you should have, or that's what society said you should have done.
Right.
And it really didn't align with who you are as a person.
Yeah. Well, I think all the work we're doing now is aligning us with our authentic selves.
Absolutely.
I think we did, lose sight of that for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's always
over
reasons.
time.
Absolutely.
But I think that communication, like you just talked about, and communicating that and teaching our kids that and teaching our students that is key, right?
I think so. I think it's very important because if you're not feeling good within yourself, there's always going to be things that creep up that are going to be roadblocks or, persistent challenges that are going to stop you from, reaching your highest potential, really. I mean, that's kind of what I look at.
Yeah, for sure.
But dedication is so important. I mean, and it shows up in so many different ways.
I think so too. I definitely think so.
I think we might have to continue this one.
I could see this becoming more conversations, maybe with some of our people that have thought about
interviewing.
Yeah, interviews.
Definitely.
Sounds good.
I love it.
All right, great.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you joining us.
Bye-bye.